Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Henry. I'm here from the Kent and Victor Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Business Bites. Today, I am very excited to be joined by Marc Rocker from Towergate. So, Towergate, of course, are chamber patron members again for this year. And Mark is going to be delivering a presentation on protecting businesses in Kent from cyber risks. So, Mark, I'm now going to pass over to you. So, everybody enjoy the session.
Thanks, Henry. Nice to meet you all, and thank you for inviting me to come and give you a whistle-stop tour of cyber risk and insurance. I hope you will find something of use from today. And obviously, if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to answer specifics for you. Okay, so introduction to myself. I'm head of cyber insurance for Towergate Insurance, part of the Ardonna Group. I'm located in the Thames Valley, and I've been formally appointed into this role at the start of the year, but I've been talking about cyber insurance for a number of years with my clients, and now have responsibility for the group. My colleague Dan Launder is actually directly responsible for your area. Unfortunately, he's been called away to a meeting, so he was hoping to attend, but is not there. But I have included his contact details for you should you need to speak to him at any point. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give you a sort of a brief overview of sort of the threat landscape, what perceptions businesses tend to have towards cyber and cyber insurance, what the reality of that actually is. And then I'm going to talk you through what I call the good, the bad, and the ugly in terms of insurance, because there is a real sort of disparity between the types of products you can get. Then obviously I've included some useful links at the end for contacts that you might want to sort of resources you might want to actually look at and sort of see if you want to sort of further your knowledge. So following a conversation that I had with one of the UK's regional organised crime units about a month ago now, we were talking about cybercrime, and they gave me this information. So this is sort of quite hot off the press, if you like, and it is what the police are seeing. So in the UK, we've got 26, criminal groups that operate. So if you think about cyber criminals, the movies always portray it as somebody with a laptop and they're typing as fast as they can, and they'll come up with some comment like, I'm through the first layer of defense, I'm through the second layer. That's not how these companies and organizations operate. And when I say companies, that is actually how they are. They have a business structure, they will have a management structure, they will have effectively employees. And think of it as a big data center with lots and lots of people, high-end equipment, all running, trying to get in through the back door of companies' IT infrastructure. That expands out to sort of 398 groups globally that are known. Now, I suspect there are quite a number of groups that are not known. And of course, there are state actors. You've only got to look as far as sort of North Korea, Russia, all those sorts of places that you would expect. I think the next number is quite staggering. 2.4 million cybercrimes, UK alone. So that's what's going on in the UK market at the minute. I haven't done the math to work out how many that is per day, but by my reckoning, that's probably one going on every few minutes, I would suggest. And by far the biggest threat that you face as a business is ransomware. I'm not going to go into what ransomware actually is. I'm assuming that you've all heard of it. If not, please reach out to me, and I will more than happily give you a detailed breakdown of what it actually is. But the government are so concerned about ransomware, they've issued a report. I think, Alex, we can send that out to everybody, a link to that government report, where because the government actually think it is a significant threat to the UK's business economy. So turning to perceptions of the businesses have, I actually labeled it misperceptions, because these are some of the common things that we hear from people when we talk to them about cyber risk. And be honest with yourselves. Are these sort of the things that have crept into your mind? I'm too small to be a target. Nobody's going to be interested in me. It's going to be the likes of British Airways and the major global brands that are interested in. My IT, I've got my IT, which is outsourced, and my IT provider does a really good job, and I've got no issues. Cyber insurance is too expensive for me to buy. I don't really want to buy it because I can't see it. I'm not a risk. I'm not a target, etc., etc. And finally, we quite often see people saying to us, "I don't need to do anything about it. I've got my Cyber Essentials accreditation." For those of you that are not familiar with what Cyber Essentials is, at its basic level, it is literally a self-certification. You answer some questions about what you're doing, and it's literally to just try and understand a little bit more about your business. But it doesn't really actually add a layer of security. Yes, it gives you the understanding. I'm not going to try and pretend otherwise. And off the back of it, you do get some free insurance, which on the next slide we'll talk about. So the first thing you need to get your head around is you are not a target. I completely agree with that. But the criminals aren't actually targeting you as an individual business. What they will do is they will look for vulnerabilities in software, hardware, etc., and then they will seek to exploit that vulnerability. So if you as a business have that vulnerability, they will break into you and they will lock you down and they will demand a ransom from you. They don't care how big or small you are. That's not the point. It's about, can they get through your defense? So you must always think that it's do you have a vulnerability in your IT software or hardware somewhere? And the answer to that is yes, because all of your businesses employ people, and about 80% of all attacks come through human beings clicking on links and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So yes, you have a vulnerability. When you talk about your IT providers, and I'm sure there are many really good companies out there, but the reality is the good ones will say to you, we can never guarantee 100% that you won't suffer a breach, you won't get caught. We can make that risk as minimal as we possibly can, but fundamentally we cannot be 100%. If that happens, who are you going to reach out to? Who's going to put it all right for you? The IT company will do what they do, and they'll probably do it very well. But you're going to need to deal with people like PR consultants. You're going to need to have them on tap to manage your message. You're going to need to know when to notify the ICO if that breach contains data relating to private individuals. You have 72 hours from the moment you identify the breach to notify the ICO. That clock starts running immediately, and it doesn't matter whether it's Easter, Christmas, or any bank holidays, weekends, etc. That clock, that 72-hour period starts. It's not 72 business hours, it is 72 hours. So you've got to have access to people who actually might be working on Christmas Day if it happens at Christmas Eve. In terms of the expense of insurance, I want to sort of just throw this back a little bit. If you have a claim in your business, somebody breaks in, for example, into your premises and steals from you. Now, they might take £5,000 worth of equipment, 10, 20, whatever the number is. 6 months' time, you'll look back and you'll think, that was a pain. That was a real pain. Yep, we've got it sorted. We've replaced the equipment. Fine. Forget about it. We move on. With a cyber claim, it can kill your business overnight because you need to have access to specialist people. There's an incident in the States, and I don't normally use the States as examples because they're not good, but this organization is the company that organizes payments for the healthcare system. They suffered a ransomware attack, which was $22 million US. So it's a big number. Where it gets really interesting is they've had to completely rebuild all their infrastructure, and that alone has cost them 1.6 billion. So it's not just the ransomware, it's the extra costs to rebuild everything from the ground up. And so I don't like normally using these big companies because they're not very relevant to a UK SME type business. But the reality of it is, the ransomware was one figure. The actual total cost was much more because they completely had to throw away every single item of hardware across their business and buy new and start again and get all the software in, re-input all the data and recommence all the payments. As I've mentioned a minute ago, Cyber Essentials, it's a self-accreditation. So it's not, you have to have it if you're doing government contracts, and it does show that you've got sort of a good mindset in terms of your cyber posture, but it is not a defense at all. Off the back of it, you get a free insurance. The free insurance is about as useful as a chocolate teapot if you actually had an incident. It doesn't provide a significant number of the most important covers that you should be looking for within a cyber insurance policy. So when we talk about cyber insurance, I go around to my colleagues and I refer to it as the good, the bad, and the ugly. So on the far right, we talk about that is the ugly column. There are insurers out there who simply will give you access to a breach response manager, but they won't pay any ransomware fines. They're not going to help you with PR costs. They won't provide any element of cover related to an incident which comes out of social engineering stroke phishing. They're not going to provide a business interruption payment for you. A massive proportion of all these claims we see on for cyber is for the downtime and the lost revenue, the lost income that a business will suffer. Then in the middle, you've got what we, I call them bad, but it's more of a traditional insurance. But the reason I call them bad is they still rely on you as a business to do all the work. So you've got to know what you're going to do, how to negotiate with threat attackers, how check the sanctions lists to see whether you're actually legally able to pay a ransomware, all that sort of stuff. And they'll pay you back at the end of it. Well, that's not what you want. That's not going to help you. And quite often these policies will have exceptions and conditions in them, meaning that if you're not running the latest software, the policy won't respond anyway. So you have to be really, really careful. Then on the left, what I refer to as the good, and this is sort of the sector we are trying to play in as Towergate. We're trying to make sure that when we talk to our clients, we are giving them access to risk management tools. We're including training. As I've said, the vast majority of claims that we see come out of human beings and errors. So let's give you access to tools to train your people not to click on emails, what to look out for in suspicious emails, and just to raise those defenses. Again, we'll never be 100%. We never will. But at least if we can do as much as we possibly can to minimize the risk for you, then that's a win. And fundamentally, we try to choose and partner with insurers that actually don't have policy conditions. I'm sure you're all familiar or have all heard stories of claims being declined because somebody hasn't done something that they should have done within the policy. Well, the policies that we try to work with, not all, but the main ones we use, don't have conditions. So if your antivirus is 2 days out of date, the insurers aren't going to walk away from you. The real big one in the cyber insurance sector is multi-factor authentication, MFA. Some insurers won't insure you if you don't have it. They simply won't touch you. Some insurers will have a condition in their policy which says it's got to be operating on various different areas of the business. And if you haven't got that, then they're not going to pay a claim. Some insurers actually will say to us, tell us you've got it. Yeah, fine. We're happy that you're running it wherever you possibly can. But we're not putting a condition in our policy which says, if you have a claim and you haven't got it, we're going to walk away from you. And that's where we try to aim. Now, those policies, obviously, for obvious reasons, are slightly more expensive. But I would far rather have you pay a few £100 more for an insurance premium at the start of the year. And when you get hit, we're not quibbling with insurers. We're not having to have a discussion with the insurers about whether they are going to support you or not. They simply say, yeah, fine, we know we're on cover for it. We'll just get on with it and deal with it. You don't need the stress. And trust me, we've got a client at the minute who actually has a policy which sits in the traditional. And we've been talking to the insurers. I was called into it late last week, and they quite simply were not getting the comfort from the insurers that the insurers were going to deal with the claim. We've got round it. We've resolved the matter, and now the claim is proceeding. But over the weekend, the client did not have that peace of mind. I don't want people sitting in that area where they're not sure what the insurance company is going to do. So I make no bones about it that we're not going to be the cheapest broker or insurer, and I don't, because that is not the right thing to do. Do I give you a £50 policy that really doesn't do anything other than give you a list of phone numbers, or do I give you a proper insurance policy that's going to cost you money, but it's going to give you training and tools, and we'll be able to monitor your domains and scan you and all sorts of things to help you to make sure that you don't get any issues. So if you want to talk to us further, then reach out to any of the gents on this slide. Dan obviously is responsible for your area directly. Neil is our divisional development director for the south of England, and obviously I'm head of cyber for the group. Some useful links which we can send to you. First of all, the National Cyber Security Centre. There's some really good information on here about what they can offer and services. They, alongside the police, actually will give a lot of free advice and free training and all sorts of bits and pieces for you. So don't hesitate to have a look. They're more than happy for to have a conversation with business. If you do think you need to talk to the Information Commissioner's office or contact them about the reporting responsibilities, then please reach out to them. And the government have provided a really good overview on their Cyber Essentials scheme, which is well worth having a look at, even if you're not intending to do it, because it kind of will steer you in the right direction in terms of what you need to think about from a cyber security posture. And that is the Whistle Stop Tour.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mark. I thought that was really informative and like a really good outline into, like you said, quite a high level overview of cybersecurity and why it's so important to be insured in it. So now we do have a little bit of time for a couple of questions. Fraser, I can see that you've put a couple of points in the chat. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, it was quite interesting regarding the good, the bad, and the ugly, because our clients generally fall in that middle piece. And we have had clients that when, quite often new clients come to us when something's happened. So we're a telecoms and IT company. And when new clients come to us, it's usually to try and help bail them out. And what we find is they're in that sort of traditional slot. And they can face problems with their claim because they haven't really mitigated their risks, and 6 out of 10 basically have not mitigated their risks. Whereas if they had been more proactive at the beginning, they wouldn't be having any problems with their insurance claim. With Towergate, you were saying that you do training and things like that. Do you do a cyber security health check for your clients at the beginning or at the inception of the policy? Or is it just, I've seen it with some insurance providers where the training is, a lot of it's, it's just on online portals and stuff where they go through and complete tick boxes and things like that. But the insurance company doesn't sort of work with the client to make sure they've mitigated their risk before they start paying the premium? Is that something that Towergate do?
Yeah, look, I mean, we have a number of different options available to us. I'm not going to say we would sort of do a scan of every client, but we do have the capability to do non-invasive scans. We're certainly looking at more options available. A number of insurers actually do it automatically upon quotation, so they'll do it for us. So it's kind of a bit of a balancing act. We have our own
Sorry to interject. I've not found any insurance provider that does that, and I'm trying to. We don't sell cyber insurance, full stop. We're not interested in doing that, but I would be interested in finding a more proactive insurance provider that would not just do proper training rather than the online tick boxes, but would be more proactive in providing, making sure the risks are mitigated. I mean, the whole point of insurance is you never want to claim on it, right?
Absolutely.
Why not mitigate your risks before you start the policy? That's what I'm getting at.
I completely agree with you, Fraser. I mean, like you say, the whole point is to mitigate the risk. I mean, I might say something here that's maybe that some people are going to find shocking, but actually, I don't ever want to see an insurance company writing out a check to a client following a cyber claim. And the reason for that is, if, as I've said, we're never going to be 100% certain that we can protect you. But what I want to see is the client, the insurer then throws their resources at the issue. They resolve the claim. They find out what the problem is. They shut it down. They deal with it. They get the client back up and running fast enough that actually there's very little impact to the business, so there is no payment for business interruption that's required. Now, reality of it is that's quite difficult to achieve, but that's what we should be aiming to achieve. If we start from trying to aim to get to that position, that we're not putting a single penny into a client's bank account because we've done everything we should be doing to protect them in the first place and sort out the problem when it occurs, then that's a good place. But turning to the training, some insurers have been pulling back on what they offer. We're certainly the products that we use. I say we built our own specialist product that we have, which is exclusive to us, and a big part of that is around giving training modules for people to go on to do. But it is very much an online type thing. It's not a sort of webinars or that type of operation, but it's simple stuff. It really is. It's, does it look at the emails? Do they look right? Are they from somebody that are you hovering over the the displayed name to check that it's from the right person who it purports to be? And are you just doing those simple things that you can do to highlight the issues to your staff?
Perfect. Thank you, Fraser, for that question, and thank you, Mark, for that answer. We do have a couple more questions. Don't worry, Gary, I have seen your question, but Nikhil, I think you had a point that kind of leans on quite nicely from what we were just talking about. I can see you're unmuted already. Would you like to get going with your question?
Yeah, definitely. I think, hi, Mark. Nice to meet you, and really informative. Something that we heavily promote and convey to all our clients as well. So I'm Nick, I'm the founder of Databox 360. We've been going for over 5 years. And we've got customers all the way from Burgess Hopton to Samaritans, and any size really. So our specialization in cybersecurity consultancy, and that's where kind of my question was, that do you partner with anyone in Kent or even nationally, because we operate in UK and abroad. But that is Fraser's question. Basically, is the reason. Well, that kind of is very, very time, because we fill that gap. And the reason I kind of dived into and set up the business was because I was in the past an IT and compliance director. So based for a national firm in Medway. And we saw that gap as well. So we've been, thanks to COVID, good for business. Lots of questions have been coming from our businesses saying, well, can you help us fill in these gaps? Because our insurers are now sending us long questionnaires, questions each, as opposed to going back 5 years. They used to be like 10, 15. And for the right reasons, because as you said, Mark, you don't want to be paying anyone, and not just you, any insurers don't want to pay anything because the ransomware and other threats have exponentially grown, and so have the number of claims. So the catch up for businesses, and that's right, you rightly said. I mean, there's no, small businesses are not excluded from these attacks. If anything, they're the quick, low-hanging fruit kind of for the bad actors.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, we work a lot with businesses, all sides, from one-man bands so we can help with strengthening the human firewall or cyber essentials and all the way up to 27.
Well, look, let's take that conversation away separately, Nikhil. I'm more than happy to have a chat with you about what you do, how you do it, etc. And then we can go from there. That's probably a sort of a much longer conversation.
No problem. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, that's fine. You'll have my email address. Reach out to me.
Perfect. And Gary, you had a point earlier, and you've got another point now. Would you like to unmute and ask your question and kind of further your point that you put in the chat?
Thank you, Henry. Mark, pleasure to meet you last week at Donington at the Manor Park Hotel. And yeah, with regards to your references to Cyber Essentials, just other people listening and joining, obviously, you can always put your foot in the water. And if you wish to carry that on, there is a Cyber Essentials Plus accreditation, correct, which is no longer a matter of filling in a form. It is pretty much like any other schemes where people take it a little bit more seriously. There are more costs, and there are third-party external scans taking place, which is a much more realistic way to look at security, although only one of the ways, because you're absolutely right, Mark, that no IT company in their right mind is going to give you any securities, because unfortunately that's not going to happen. So it is purely a matter of managing that. And also, that is also where we feel much of the solution work is based in, that when it happens, not only you should be picking up the phone and letting your insurance company know, but you should be then looking at your disaster recovery and re-establishing, getting back to work and providing your clients with your core business rather than being tied up in IT for the next 2 months. So yeah, I believe very much, our industries complement each other, Mark, and that's where we stand. There isn't a client in my business that we don't recommend should have a full and valid, and be talking to somebody like yourself who is a specialist in insurance whilst dealing with their IT requirements and dealing with people who are well established in that field.
Yeah, so I totally agree, and you're right about the Cyber Essentials Plus. That that's definitely not a tick box exercise. One thing we've done with our specialist product that we've come up with that's exclusive to us, and I think we're the only people that do it, but we actually give specific discount for people who have Cyber Essentials accreditation. Not only that, with part of the product, if you don't have it, there's a subscription service that we offer to help you get the accreditation, Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus. And then, so if you go through that process using the discounted service, at the following renewal, you'll then get the discount for having put it in place. So we're trying to help clients to, and work with clients to get the accreditation if they want to do it or need to do it, and then actually reflecting that back by saying, well, actually, we understand that you're looking at your security posture and doing the things you should be doing, so we'll actually give you a discount.
Excellent. I'd have done the same thing in your position, Mark.
I think we're the only. I think it's the only product out there where Cyber Essentials actually has an effect on what the paying client spend on their insurance.
Good, because I'm not
100%, but I haven't heard of anybody else.
I would agree. Trying to ignite a £25,000 cyber insurance claim is about as much use as a chocolate fire guard.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Gary.
Thank
Henry.
you, Gary. Thank you very much.
And a pleasure,
Cheers,
Nikhil.
Mark, for yours.
Likewise, Gary. Good to meet you again.
Yes, perfect. Fantastic. Well, that is all the time we have, I'm afraid. I make that 1:30. So thank you all ever so much for attending today's Business Bite session on cyber threats. Obviously, I'd like to give a massive shout out to Mark from Towergate. Mark, thank you ever so much for that session and for the Q&A at the end. I think there was a lot of value and some really great conversations at the end there. I know that you've got a couple of conversations to continue offline, which is always really good and what we like to see. So best of luck with those. I've been Henry again from the Ken and Victor Chamber of Commerce. Thank you ever so much, and we look forward to seeing you all at our future sessions. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye.